Good morning. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. People talk about manifestation as if it's something magical, something woo-woo or a little special. But do you realize that manifestation is always happening? Energy is always moving. Energy is always transmuting into form, out of form, into a new form. Everything is changing. So many people say they hate change, they don't like change, they don't want change, but change is constant. And if you don't go with the flow, if you don't decide what changes you would prefer, you end up with things that you don't like. And that's all manifestation. Everything that you think and do contributes to how your life runs. One of my favorite chapters in the book The Hidden Power by Thomas Troward that I used to study with Bob Proctor, my special mentor who passed away almost 3 years ago now. And he would study every day, and he would study Think and Grow Rich and the Principles of Prosperity. ABCs of Success is a book that he wrote, but he loved Thomas Troward. And one of the chapters in The Hidden Power is Affirmative Power. And that's what I talk about tapping into each day is the power that is available to you, allowing yourself to slow down, to breathe, to sit still, and to tap into the energy that creates worlds. Whether you say God or universal intelligence, Allah, Buddha, your highest self, your inner knowing. Thomas Troward's chapter is called Affirmative Power. And in this chapter, he says, thoroughly to realize the true nature of affirmative power is to possess the key to the great secret. We feel its presence in all the innumerable forms of life by which we are surrounded, and we feel it as the life in ourselves. And at last, someday, the truth bursts upon us like a revelation that we can wield this power, this life, by the process of thought. And as soon as we see this, the importance of regulating our thinking begins to dawn upon us. We ask ourselves what this thought process is, and then we find that it is thinking affirmative force into forms which are the product of our own thought. We mentally conceive the form, and then we think life into it. Well, doesn't that sound easy? Doesn't that sound simple? We find that it is thinking affirmative force into forms which are the product of our own thought. We mentally conceive the form and then think life into it. Well, how much of my life I spent thinking into form things that I didn't want. That comes through worry, doubt, anxiety, fear. When we worry, doubt, think about the worst that's going to happen, we get into a crazy vibration and a feeling of anxiety. And as we focus our attention on what we're worried about, that manifests into being. We worry about being fired or losing our relationship, and then that's what happens. And we say, I I didn't want that. But the universe doesn't understand what you love or what you hate. It just moves in the direction of what you're thinking about. The emotional energy, your emotion is the language that your subconscious mind speaks. So when you get emotionally involved in worry, doubt, fear, anxiety, and that feeling is spreading through your entire body, what you will be manifesting is what you don't want. More things to worry about. I want you to go the opposite direction and start to feel relaxed, start to feel what it would be like to create love, to create life, to create abundance, to create prosperity, to create well-being and joy. That takes practice, that takes daily study, that takes getting into a feeling, a state of being at ease, the state of being happy, the state of being taken care of, wealthy, having faith that everything that you want is coming to you, and that comes to you when you're ready to receive it, when you're in the vibrational energy of already having it, not needing it, not wanting it, not wishing or hoping, just knowing that it's yours. That takes practice. It takes understanding that you are a divine spirit, and with the help of the creative energy, getting into the feeling as if you already are what you want to be, because it's all inside of you. The energetic vibration that you put out attracts back to you whatever you're in harmony with. If you're in harmony with worry, doubt, and fear, the universe just says, your wish is my command. And the energies that match you show you as a reflection in your life what you've been thinking, what you've been feeling, what you've been doing. It's not a secret, but once you understand it, you can realize that with understanding, with getting into a state of knowing what you want, getting into that feeling of how wonderful life is, what love feels like, a deep and profound sense of gratitude for your life and everything that is created. That feeling accelerates. You express it more and more. And what you truly desire is created. It's manifested for all to see. Getting into the feeling of the state of being that you want is the great secret. We mentally conceive the form and then think life into it. Thomas Troward says, this must always be the nature of the creative process on whatever scale, whether on the grand scale of the universal cosmic mind or on the miniature scale of your individual mind. The difference is only in degree and not in kind. We may picture the mental machinery by which this is done in the way that best satisfies our intellect. And the satisfying of the intellect on this point is a potent factor in giving us that confidence in our mental action without which we can affect nothing. but the actual externalization is the result of something more powerful than a merely intellectual apprehension. It is the result of that inner mental state, which, for want of a better word, we may call our emotional conception of ourselves. It is the self which we feel ourselves to be, which takes forms of our own creating. For this reason, our thought must be so grounded upon knowledge that we shall feel the truth of it and thus be able to produce in ourselves that mental attitude of feeling which corresponds to the condition which we desire to externalize. We cannot think into manifestation a different sort of life to that which we realize in ourselves. What you think, what you feel is what you manifest. What you think about, where your thoughts are predominantly directed, the energy that you're feeling all day long reflects to you the circumstances, the manifestations, the creations of your life. As Horace says, nemo dat quod non habet. We cannot give what we have not got. And on the other hand, we can never cease creating forms of some sort by our mental activity, thinking life into them. This point must be carefully noted. We cannot sit still producing nothing. The mental machinery will keep on turning out work of some sort, and it rests with us to determine of what sort it shall be. Thomas Troward says, in our entire ignorance or imperfect realization of this, we create negative forms and think life into them. We create forms of death, sickness, sorrow, trouble, and limitation of all sorts, and then think life into these forms, with the result that, however non-existent in themselves, to us they become realities and throw their shadow across the path which would otherwise be bright with the many colored beauties of innumerable flowers and the glory of the sunshine. This need not be. It is giving to the negative an affirmative force which does not belong to it. Consider what is meant by the negative. It is the absence of something. It is not being, and it is the absence of all that constitutes being. Left to itself, it remains in its own nothingness, and it only assumes form and activity when we give these to it by our thought. Here, then, is the great reason for practicing control over our thought. It is the one and only instrument we have to work with, but it is an instrument which works with the greatest certainty for limitation if we think limitation, for enlargement if we think enlargement. Our thought as feeling is the magnet which draws to us those conditions which accurately correspond to itself. This is the meaning of the saying that thoughts are things. But you say, how can I think differently from the circumstances? Certainly, you're not required to say that the circumstances at the present moment are what they are not. To say so would be untrue. But what is wanted is not to think from the standpoint of circumstances at all. Think from that interior standpoint where there are no circumstances, and from whence you can direct what circumstances shall be, and then leave the circumstances to take care of themselves. Do not think this, that, or the other particular circumstances of health, peace, etc., but of health, peace, and prosperity themselves. Here is an advertisement from Pearson's Weekly. Think money, big money. Money makers think money. This is a perfectly sound statement of the power of thought. Although it is only an advertisement, but we may make an advance beyond thinking money. We can think life in all its fullness, together with that perfect harmony of conditions, which includes all that we need of money and 1,000 other good things besides, for some of which money stands as a symbol of exchangeable value, while others cannot be estimated by so material a standard. Therefore, think life, illumination, harmony, prosperity, happiness. Think the things rather than this or that condition of them. And then, by the sure operation of the universal law, these things will form themselves into the shapes best suited to your particular case and will enter your life as active living forces which will never depart from you because you know them to be part and parcel of your own being. What does your inner knowing tell you that you would love to bring into physical manifestation? How does an ideal life look to you? How does that feel? What are you working towards? Prosperity, harmony, happiness? You must think and feel the harmony of that which you desire, joyful, well-being, blessed with vitality. As you start to imagine what would it feel like if I truly believed that I love life and life loves me? How would you be acting if you believed that life loves you? You're here to live life. You're here to experience life on earth in all its forms. What form do you prefer? You have a physical body that has been created for you to live life on this planet. What are you creating with your mind, with your thought, with your energy, with your heart, with your human hands? What are you manifesting? Practice control over your thoughts. Thomas Troward says it is the one and only instrument we have to work with, but it is an instrument which works with the greatest certainty. For limitation, if we think limitation. For enlargement, if we think enlargement. Our thought as feeling is the magnet which draws to us those conditions which accurately correspond to itself. You want more prosperity in your life so that you can do more studying, gain a deeper understanding, have more faith, investing in your own mind, in your own education, in your own desire for what you want. You want prosperity so that you can use it as a method of exchange to purchase the items that you would love to have in your life, whether it's a new car, a new house, a boat, a cottage, a trip around the world, new clothes. How would that feel if you could just go out and purchase whatever you wanted without thinking of the price tag? And then what would you do for your family? You have unlimited wealth available to you. How are you spending it? Who are you helping? Whose life are you blessing with this unlimited wealth? You've created it. How would you spend it? Spend some time thinking about your personal power, the power of your thinking. Where are you directing your thoughts? You can tell if your thoughts are meant for good by the way you're feeling. If you have thoughts of blame, criticism, fear, revenge, those are not good thoughts that are bringing you a beautiful life that you desire. Life is strange. It's not something that you always can see, hear, smell, taste, or touch. Life is something you experience, something expressed to a greater degree with one person or another. What would you prefer? In Bob Proctor's book, The ABCs of Success, he talks about personal power and removing the resistance. Bob Proctor wrote, "What you and I refer to as life is really an invisible power that flows to and through us. Our lives can be expressed in a very shallow, bland manner, or it can be vibrant and enthusiastic. The invisible power we refer to as life operates in much the same manner as electricity. No one knows what electricity is. We simply have a little knowledge of what it does. There is a law in electricity called Ohm's law. Among other things, it states that the amount of current that will flow in an electrical circuit will always be inversely proportional to the resistance in the circuit." Well, let's compare that to our own flow of energy. In other words, the less resistance, the more current that will flow. The more resistance, the less current of divine energy. Not only can you increase or decrease the flow of electricity, you can use it for destructive means or constructive means. That's also true with the power referred to as your life. You are an instrument through which the life power flows. Resistance will limit the flow. You have many names for resistance: doubt, denial, fear, worry, which will dramatically limit the flow of life through you. Remove the resistance, and this power has the ability to make an entirely new person out of you. This life power responds in some strange way to your beliefs, your mental attitudes, and your expectancies. Look around. You see very little life flowing in some people and others who are radiant with life. Remove the resistance and live. Destiny is no matter of chance. It is a matter of choice. It is not a thing to be waited for. It is a thing to be achieved. What would you bring into your life if you believed it was possible? How easily and effortlessly. If you allow money to flow into your experience, it can come from unexpected sources. You focus on what it feels like to be abundantly blessed in finances, to feel the abundance, the prosperity, write a list of what would you do if you won the lottery. Imagine you've already received untold millions of dollars, and that's just a method of exchange. Now you have everything that you want. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to share with the world? Are you going to share with your family? Are you going to leave scholarships, bursaries? How will you bless others with this wonderful life energy radiating through you? When you get into the feeling of profound gratitude and knowing that your deepest desire is yours for the taking, you just have to get into the same energetic vibration, match that energy, and it shows up for you. Everything that comes to you is in response to the energy that you're sending out. Be careful of the energy that you're sending out. What are you wishing for other people? That comes back to you like a boomerang. Get into the feeling that you are joyful, you are loved, you are happy, you are healthy, you are at ease. And in that feeling of ease, write a thank you note to yourself for everything you've already accomplished in your life, including what you want to bring into physical manifestation through your thoughts, through the energy that you send out. By your feeling, you can know what that looks like. Write it out, feel it, think about it, and then let go of the how. Just put yourself into the emotional vibration of already being that which you desire. You create through your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. Create a wonderful day. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning at 7. Thank you.